Hello, hello, my beloved waking gods and goddesses, and welcome to my new YouTube channel, Love, Truth, and Beauty. Do it yourself for Divine in the Flesh, where your pain, trauma, suffering, and dramas are golden gateways to waking up and staying awake. Before we get started, please like this video by giving us a thumbs up. Please also subscribe and do hit the notification bell along with hitting all in that YouTube notification drop box expansion menu, whatever you want to call it, so that the YouTube will let you know when I upload next. My upload schedule is Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Thanks so much for joining me on this platform. I really do appreciate it. My name is Marja West, and I am your hostess of the highest. And in today's video, what I'm doing is I'm doing a replay of an interview that I participated in with Freeman Fly in the FreeZone, his FreeZone, an interview that I participated in September 22nd, 2018. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because I'm really wanting to just really share a little bit about myself, those of you who don't know anything about me. And so let's just get started, and blessings. Enjoy. All right.
Beaming out across the galaxy, this is where conspiracy on the wild side meets the perspective of a lifetime. This is the FreeZone with your host, Freeman.
Hello and welcome to the FreeZone. Well, how do you feel? Do you believe there could possibly be a depression frequency device out there, and would you even know whether it was your true emotions or not? I mean, how do we achieve a preferred reality on this emotional journey? How can we take in all this info and still enjoy life? That's really the question. And tonight we're going to talk with Marja West. She's a writer, non-guru, spiritual teacher, way shower, divine love agent, provocateur, and medical intuitive. She's well known for her tell it like it is so you can move forward in a truly living the life you want attitude. She's a dynamic speaker, a presenter, often described as edgy, unpolitically correct, but candidly addressing the challenges of our current times regarding the truth about our perception-managed reality. The second edition of her book, Effed Wide Open, The Rude Awakening of the Heart-Based New Humanity, is now available, and you can find it at www.marjawest.com. And of course, the links will be there, and we will get you all hooked up. So please welcome to the FreeZone, Marja West. How are you today? I open that show with how do you feel? How do you feel?
I feel great, actually. I'm actually really, really psyched to be talking with you. And thanks so much, Freeman, for having me. And yes, that is the proverbial question. How do we have a good time and rock our lives on our terms when we have this world stage shit show that happens on all these different levels, just compelling us to feel this and feel that, and then using all these feelings and emotions and triggers to basically weaponize them and get at each other's throats and just spew hate and disdain and depression. Yeah, is there a depression magazine for all of us that we can just kind of like tune in and write our own stories and go off on our stories and blame everybody for our stories and how we feel and that kind of thing? So it is. I think there is a machine. I think there is a forum that really wants us to forget who we are and forget our creativity and forget all about the love and all of the things that are really super important to us, that really, really matter. And so it's a good time. It's a good time to be having this conversation.
Oh, yeah, without question. I mean, suicide ridiculously high. It's something's going on here. Everybody is fighting everybody else. It's just a jump into a quagmire, and just, I mean, it's always so hard to try and describe how to achieve a preferred reality instead of constantly being in opposition of everything that we're seeing.
Yes, yes. And the only way you learn that is through your own contrasting experiences of your own life. And I know for myself, I spent probably almost 30 years in this PTSD mode of like, how the fuck am I going to move through this? And forgetting that I do have to move through this before I can even share the information. Because if I'm not rocking my world and my life on my terms, and I'm out there talking about it while giving the finger to the system, that's pretty stupid. Because then I'm not walking my talk. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So for over 30 years, I was just so upset and so depressed and swinging between, wanting to go postal and wanting to just put a bullet in my head to just make it stop. And then it's like one day I realized, oh, this is what the powers that want to be, this is what they want. They want me to be in that place of desperation. They want me to really believe that my life is over and it sucks, that it's never going to get better, and I should just pull the plug. Or if not pull the plug, blame everybody else, my parents, my society, religion, the school. I mean, just go on and on. I mean, there's plenty of people to blame. But then there's that whole idea of self-responsibility and what the hell that means. And then I'm from California, and I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I was immersed in tremendous amounts of very uber leftist, hippy-dippy, free love for one and all New Age bullshit. And I saw through it at a very, very early age. And so for me to try to navigate my own existence and try to find my own reason for being and my authenticity amidst all that fake shit, it was nearly impossible. And so what I had to do was like really kind of withdraw and really see myself in those depths of depression and suicidal tendencies and wanting to own it. And what ended up happening, I went from that to this raging, maniacal, crazy person. Not a man hater though. I was not into hating men. In fact, if anything, I was into like really getting into the faces of the so-called feminists that really wanted to shove down my throat that for me, I immigrated to this country. I had to learn English. I got my citizenship, and being Asian and Jewish, that meant, for all intents and purposes, that I was just going to rock it automatically, which is complete trash. But still, these fake feminists wanted to like shove down my throat how oppressed I was, and how demeaned I was, and how I needed to like rise above it. And here I was, I'm like, fine, what are you guys talking about? I don't feel oppressed. I feel oppressed by the system, but I don't feel oppressed in terms of that because I'm a certain color or I'm this petite woman that I am somehow tainted in my pathway to success. I just didn't buy into that. So as you progress forward, you realize that, hey, this is all on me. And so I started noticing why I would get pissed off at things, why I would be depressed about things that I heard and what I saw. And then doing the work that I've done for the last 30 plus years of championing survivors of everything from satanic ritual abuse to combat PTSD, to pedophilia, to sex trafficking, to rape camps, etc. I mean, the worst of the worst of the worst of egregious human behavior upon other human beings. I was immersed in this negative rant constantly, on and on and on and on. And I had to find ways to pull myself out of the cesspool that I was in, up to my eyebrows, of hand-holding people and reminding them who they are as divine spiritual beings having this human experience and being able to take the steps, little baby steps, inching along to reclaim their sovereignty and their divinity. And I had to do that work for myself. And that's really what it is. Fortunately, as with you, we have good sense of humor.
Right.
And you need a good sense of humor. You need to be able to, like, just pull the plug and go, okay, that's really fucked up. But hey, there's this funny thing about things that are like really, really fucked up, is that there's a way out. And the way out is like really immersing yourself and going into it. And I always try to make fun of shit. I make fun of everything that I've been through, the stories that I've retold again and again and again of this, that my own traumas, my own sexual abuse. And, you know, quite often, you know, I'll like pretend I'm playing a really bad violin because you can repeat them again and again and again. And I think that's the problem, is that we're in this stage now where the gloves are off. We get to tell our stories, we get to repeat them, and we get to just blame everybody that's in those various stories, and we can out them publicly. And with all this compelled speech and all this, I call it weaponized woundology. Other people call it just Me Too. I mean, that whole Me Too movement, it just pisses me off. I don't even relate to it. And so in recent times, in the last 6 months or so, I've been invited to like speak to that. No, I'm not going to. It's more like Me Tool. Let's put the L at the end of the that too, because that's what I feel like it is. It's like, okay, here we are. We're in this place where we're not going to take any responsibility for our behavior or our lack thereof, and just let all these triggers just kind of run the show. And while you're running the show, you're not going to be able to progress forward because you're just holding yourself back in that place of disempowerment. And that's what the powers that want to be, that's what they want. They want us to feel disempowered. They want us to turn on each other. We get to kill each other, cull each other, and they just get to sit back and just watch. And it's entertainment for them, I'm sure.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, they got to be blown away at how easily triggered people are. It's, you know, it's like not even a game anymore.
Oh, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's just laughable. So, I'm finding myself having to tune out a lot of my YouTube subscriptions now because I can't take it. It's so absurd. People losing their shit over this person and that person, and I'm just like, wow. And in the meantime, you know, they're just kind of droning on to their pain, and they can't figure out why they need more and more and more and more of this fake entertainment and the sort of fakery of blaming other people rather than taking responsibility. It's just too hard to do the great work for most people. And it's easier to say, no, it's your fault. It's your fault. You fix me. And if you don't fix me, let's just put you in prison for the rest of your life. Let's just ruin you. And so that's the thing that I'm like really witnessing, and I'm witnessing it in families, like families just going all out because they're so polarized in this world stage of, you know, just the political nonsense that's like going on. It's just completely hysterical to me. Like I watch it and I'm like, oh dear God, make it stop, you know? And then there's the little voice in me that's like, step away from the vehicle, move along, nothing to see here, because it's just the same. It's the same as it ever was, only different players, a different show, different colors, different technology, but it's still the same. So what I've intended to do for the last few years, since I made my egress out of California, is to just really focus in on what are the things that are like important. What are the common threads that I have with my clients, with my students, with the people that I care deeply about, and care deeply for? What are our golden threads? What are these common desires? And peace of mind, being content, enjoying, savoring those moments where everything is like A-okay. Oh wow, there's chemtrails happening, but everything is A-okay. Because if we focus, there are so many awful things going on, but if we focus on those, we tend to forget that by focusing on those just really magnifies the intensity of it. And that's part of what's tricky about using your power of focus, is that there is this fine line between utilizing something that is extremely triggering to move you forward and to inspire a different trail that actually leads you to a higher place or an elevated version of that, versus focusing in on it so that you can get carried away in the shitstorm of it and just be covered up with so much shit that you can't find your way out. And that is the sort of, it's sort of the gap between what is and what you prefer it to be. And I used to think that was New Age bullshit until I really started experimenting with it in my own life. And as a very empathic person, and you're a very empathic person as well, empathic people tend to attract narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths. And I'm sure you've had your share, where we have a certain frequency that is very caring, that's very open, that's very, we're self-sustaining people. We're self-directed. We have enough moxie to be able to do that. But then there are a lot of people that kind of do that, but they do that because they feed off people who are really doing it. So they're actually kind of faking it. So they have to move from one source to the next, to the next, to the next, from one mark to another, to another, to another, in order to feed off of that. And in essence, that's what the powers that want to be, that's what they're all about, because as long as they can get us to sort of run around with their heads cut off, they can feed off all of the emotional frenzy, all of the energy that's being dissipated. It doesn't just get dissipated, they're able to utilize it. So for people like you and I, we have to learn how to manage our energy, which is only created by learning your power of focus. And it's not just mental, as you were mentioning earlier, it's an emotional journey where you have to really know what it is that you're feeling. Is what you're actually feeling or emoting, is it really yours? Or are you just hooked into some consensus reality where some effing cult, and the cult is telling you, you need to be outraged, feel outrage, blame all the white men, let's sling them up, let's destroy them. Is that part of what you're ascribing to? And a lot of people don't even know. They don't even know what they're feeling. How are you feeling? I don't know. And you can just feel it, just from the energy of that response. It just kind of lands on the ground, and there it is. And you try to pick it up. It's just taking up space. It has no direction of its own. So by understanding and knowing yourself through the great work that you do from moment to moment to moment and moving forward no matter what, that's how you get to know yourself and get to know what is it you're feeling. Get to know what real joy and real happiness feels like. And how do you know that? Because you know what depression feels like. You know what suicidal thoughts feel like, and you know what rage feels like. So there are all these sort of incremental feelings from depression and up to joy and bliss and everything in between, and that's the totality of human experience. It's from here to there and everywhere in between and beyond. So, and people have to want it. And they have to want that beyond, the latest pop culture material thing that you're going to max out your credit cards on, just to have that, and then it's empty. Like, I know so many people that are entrapped in that, and, it's never been something that I've related to, mostly because I'm lucky. I have creative outlets. I've been a musician all my life and have performed all over the world, so I have that as an outlet to be able to, like, really elevate not just my emotions, but even my whole energy system gets all fired up and all energized and nourished by music and all kinds of music. So that's been, like, really, really helpful. So I always suggest for people, it's not just feeling into what you're feeling and knowing what you're feeling and really knowing, are these my feelings or yours or the world's or whatever group. It's also about really feeling into what lights you up. What are the things that light you up? Is it music? Is it dancing? Is it gardening? Is it hiking? Is it jumping out of planes? I mean, that was one of my things for a while, was skydiving. Is it hanging out at the pool? Whatever it is, tune into it. But too many people are stuck. They're stuck in these shitty jobs that they hate because they want the benefits, or they're waiting to retire and die. I mean, there's just so many people like that. And so for myself, a lot of my friends, I'm pushing 60. And so I've been around a long time. And now I'm at that age where the majority of people that I've known for a while, who have been my friends since school or college, all they're talking about is hoping that they live long enough to enjoy their retirement. And I'm like, oh my God, yikes. It's just it's so sad. It's so sad to me. And,
I retired at 20.
Yeah, right? I mean, I figured it out early on. Of course, I had to have the contrasting experiences of being fired over 25 times by the time I was 22 to realize I'm virtually not employable. I can't take direction. It's just not in me.
I understand.
I know you understand. It's like you have to figure out how to be self-directed and to be able to make a living, do your life on your terms, and do it authentically. So me having a regular job, forget it. It's not going to happen. So, we learned early on that, okay, we got these certain skill sets. And that was one of the things that I realized in terms of all the things that I've been trained on, such as music and martial arts and yoga. I've been able to, like, utilize those skills and teach and perform and share those skills, if not live. When the whole thing with the internet exploded, I did a lot of online teachings. And, so this is it. It's one foot in front of the other, and doing what lights you up. And those are some of the things that light me up. And to be able to handhold folks from this victim consciousness. And I mean, we are talking some horrific stuff. And when I used to do a lot of work out in the field and be in these parts of the world that are basically non-English speaking countries and see how these people are living and what's being done to them and how a lot of it is sanctioned by our own governments, I was like, oh my God, okay, so I have to, like, really not just up my game, but to be able to hold the space for these people so that they don't completely lose it and completely give up. And what does that require? It requires me to not just have my shit together, but to be able to sit there and be in my utter horror, listening and holding space, listening to their stories, seeing the scars on their bodies, the way they're holding themselves. I mean, some people couldn't even be in the same room with me. I had to speak to them through a wall because they were so traumatized from so much abuse and violence that the thought of having another person in the room was super triggering. So it all required me to have it together so that I didn't lose it and I didn't fall into despair. And so, just cultivating practices for you to be able to be really, really pissed off or horrified while you're holding space for another person, and being able to remain in alignment and remain present and not going off into this alternate reality of seeking vengeance or wanting to get the fuck away or wanting to run to my safe space and, be held somewhere. It's the ultimate in self-responsibility, I think.
I tend to run into a lot of targeted individuals, especially at conferences, and I hear so many of these horrific stories, and it is hard to take it in and to settle back with it and try and be, patient and understanding. How did you end up helping people with satanic ritual abuse or even UFO abductions or even exorcisms? I mean, how did you get into this?
It was quite the journey. I mean, if somebody had told me about this when I was, say 25, I would have thought they were high on crack or something, because at that point I was pursuing music, I was selling life insurance. I shit you not. Because it was the only thing that lent me freedom to do what I wanted to do and not be tied to a desk or tied to a certain time frame. So anyways, it just happened out of the blue, and it was right around 1987, right before the stock market crash. I started having these really trippy dreams. I'm not kidding you, where I was getting downloaded, and I was telling a friend about it because I thought I was losing my mind. And at that point, I'd seen enough of the world and just the sort of the monotony and the unconsciousness of either this contrast of the yuppies and money in San Francisco versus all the homeless people and all the drug addiction and the crack babies, and it just went on. So I'm in the middle of this, and I'm going, fuck, what the fuck is going on? How do we do this? And at the same time, I'm in my own little world as a 20-something where I'm reaping the benefits of tapping into money and being able to make it, and then seeing this stuff and then wanting to save the world, quote unquote. My clients were part of the State Bar of California, so they were attorneys. So these were the people that I dealt with. So they were very well connected, very, very financially secure and all this kind of stuff. And I got a phone call from one of my clients saying, I don't know why, but I sent this woman your phone number, and she's going to call you, and she's going to tell you all about it. And I'm like, huh? I had no idea. So this woman gets in touch with me, and she's in a tizzy, and she starts sharing with me some of the most horrifying stuff, and these are childhood memories. And she was the daughter of some local political person, and that's how it started. And it was, for me, it was like one foot in front of the other, and just really tuning in, what does this person need? And just totally trusting. I mean, it was like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had no training in this, other than these crazy dreams that were downloading me about the human energy field, the aura, the chakras, the meridian system. I ended up going to study 5-element Chinese medicine and homeopathy. I just started studying and taking all these trainings and all these different modalities of like healing, not to do it, but mostly just to understand the sort of mechanisms and ins and outs of it. And before I knew it, I generated like all these people. Like, it wasn't like I started a business or hung a sign or had business cards or anything. I just started getting calls, and people would tell other people about me, and that's how it started. And I was terrified. I'm like going, oh my God, I'm doing some crazy shit. You know, really, really crazy shit. I don't understand it. And, you know, then I got involved with the whole ufology community around that time in the late 80s. And that was a total trip. And you know, what was great is that I was in neutral. I didn't necessarily believe in it all, but I didn't necessarily discount it. I was open to receiving the information. And there were so many people that were like coming to me from various socioeconomic, you know, levels. I mean, it was like everybody coming at me from every other place, from many, many different places. And I just started noticing this common thread of their psyches, their bodies, their minds, their hearts, their energies being hijacked by some outside source, regardless of what their story was. And so I kind of went with it. And then going back to the stock market crash in 1987, I realized, you know, what I'm doing, it's wrong. This is wrong. This is blood money. This is based on fear, and I'm out of line. And I made the decision, you know, I'm out of integrity. I can't do this. And so that was that. And I was married at the time, and it just started this unraveling of how inauthentic I was living. And it just went south from there. So my whole life started disintegrating in 1987. I was 27 at the time, and there was no turning back. You know, it's like I stepped into this authentic place, and it was the world, my world as I knew it, was over. And it was probably one of the scariest things I'd ever done, because I didn't know, and I didn't know what I was doing. I lost a lot of friends, I lost family, and basically woke up one day and I'm like, wow, I'm on my own, like for real. Like nobody wanted to talk to me. They thought I'd gone completely insane. And then making the sort of transition and navigating the various communities of these various groups. So, and I know you know all about this, Freeman, because you navigate a lot of different groups, but don't necessarily belong to any of them. Well, that's kind of what I was doing. So, all of a sudden, being invited to ufology things, you know, I met a lot of shills. The New Age bullshit movement in San Francisco, oh my God. Mr. and Miss Yoga International. I mean, some of it is so laughable, because these were people who were, like, they were just drenched in, like, marketing pheromones and really into that whole sell and upsell and this business of spirituality and the beautiful people and on and on and on. And I just saw through it. And so I didn't belong in that club either. And then there was the sort of goddess entrepreneurs, and I navigated those groups, and I didn't belong there either. I couldn't relate. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to affiliate with you because my clients and students would be horribly offended by pushing this, you know, this coy little sex kidney thing where the divine feminine goddess is like, you know, she's tricked out in Fredericks of Hollywood or Victoria's Secret outfits. In the meantime, my clients have scars from being shackled to beds. You know, it's just not a good mix. It's not a good mix. So I had to learn how to, number one, be discerning, like incredibly discerning as to what group I associate myself with. So as a result of, here we are, fast forwarding all these years, 30 plus years later, I don't belong to any group. I don't like groups. I don't like groupthink. I don't like gurus. I don't like people telling me what to do, what to think, or I don't like any of that. And my clients don't either. My students don't. Most people I know don't, because it's dangerous. It's dangerous. And yet, here we are, 2018, where we have this, I don't even know how to describe it other than this uber cultural Marxist world where if you're not one of them, then you're on the outside. Well, thanks. I like being on the outside. I'm hip. I don't want to have any kind of compelled allegiance to anybody, and I think that's part of the road of discernment, is that you just realize that there are just way too many people, too many narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths who are just full-on liars. And their whole thing is to really cull your energy, cull your resources, and that doesn't make you a victim necessarily. It makes you smart. It makes you smart, because then you're in the driver's seat of not just your life force and your resources, but you're in the driver's seat of what it is that you're all about. And that's the best way to know thyself, is to not be associated with any other group that is influencing you. And so, the job that I do, the hand-holding that I do, now mind you, I don't charge for a lot of this stuff. I make my money through my classes and private sessions that I do with other professionals, therapists, etc., that want to know more or learn more about my approach to things, and none of this is academic, so I am sure a lot of people think I'm some fucking fruitcake, and you know what? I don't care. The work that I do is like really, really solid, and the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in people moving from victim to victorious, and I think part of my story that's compelling is that I have moved from that. I've moved from that victim mentality to this mentality of being victorious and being in alignment, and knowing that my alignment with my divinity actually assures my success in terms of never, ever, ever compromising any aspect of my life and my being for any price or any cost.
Yeah, when you reach that point, you really do find your true soul's purpose. I mean, unemployability will lead you to your true purpose. Right?
Figure it out, right?
Yeah, you got to find something, and it finds you. And that's the big difference. Like the people that we're talking about, the psychopaths and those, they want to guide, direct, and control everything.
Yes.
And so many people don't even have the inkling to just let go and let life bring to you what you're supposed to be doing, because believe me, I would have never picked this. It chose me, and I said, oh, well, I think I might be good at this, after 13 years. But, it wasn't a choice. It was life that guided me here. And
that's the thing. That's the important thing. And I remember having this conversation, this is maybe 25 years ago, with a person that I had met on BART, which is the train system in the San Francisco Bay Area, and this guy was just like going off about how fucked up life was, and just ranting and ranting and ranting. He was ranting so loudly he actually cleared the car. And of course me, I'm just like
chat rooms, by the way. I can clear those things in 5 minutes flat.
Oh my God, so much fun. So I actually walked up to the guy, and he's like, "What do you want?" And I go, "I want to hear your story, you know." Well, why the fuck do you want to do that? And I go, "Because I want to know. You just cleared the car. So here I am. I'm your captive audience." And so he just went on and on about how he'd been a Vietnam vet. So it's just this story of how he tried to serve his country. He did the best that he could, and it was like horrifying. And he comes back, and his wife is gone. All his family, they don't speak to him. He's like this outcast, and he has all like the guy was kind of a mess. He was obviously homeless, but there was this incredible like presence and this incredible light in his eye that I recognized it. So I'm going, okay, this is his soul coming through. And so it's just his way of being and his way of really just, he's a victim, and he got fucked over, and he did this, and he did all the right things, and nobody cares, and on, and life sucks. And I said to him, and life is right in any case. Can't argue with it, can you? And I don't even know why I said that, but it just came out of my mouth, as things often do, without me thinking about it. And it stopped him in his tracks. It was like the weirdest thing. And I honestly thought the guy was going to knife me, because I started like feeling this anxiety, and I realized what had happened is that he had a realization. I don't quite know what it was, but it shined through. And so we were at the next stop, and he just gets up and he looks at me, and he namastes me. He just, puts his hands in prayer position, Anjali Mudra, as they call it, and he just bows, and he says, "Thanks for that," and he just walks off. And so here it is, we're at the Oakland City Center, the train, the car fills up again, and I'm sitting there. I just burst into tears. I don't even know why I burst into tears, but that was probably one of the most compelling moments of my life, where life is right. And you're right about that, Freeman. It does direct you. It leads you into all the various places, the people, places, and things that you need to connect to, and you just have to be open and willing to show up for it, even if it sucks, because it will change, and it always does change. So, I totally agree with you. Just show up for your life. Take direction from life, and I think that's part of the beauty and the power of dealing with what is, rather than getting focused in on what is. I know, that's a fine line right there. It's tricky. It's really tricky, because and what I'm saying by that is that by dealing with what is, you utilize it as a tool, as a launching pad to move into the place where you want to be, rather than seeing it as, oh, this really totally sucks. And that can be helpful. Things are totally sucking, because what do you prefer? You prefer them not to suck. But too many people get into, you gotta deal with reality and you gotta stay there. It's like, no, you don't. And that is part of one of the New Age bullshit tenets that I call out every so often, because I hear people, but you have to deal with reality. No, actually, you don't. You notice where you're at and notice where you want to go. And that's enough of reality. Because I think we can get really caught up in the undertow of the shit show, which is what most people do. And now we've got a society where you let the shit show run your life. And now we have movements of shit shows that just compel people to hate each other and go on and on. And I'm a victim. I mean, this whole latest thing of, I don't know if you're aware of the latest movement of pedophiles are people too. Oh my God! I saw that not that long ago, and I was just, what the fuck? Really? They're a marginalized, discriminated against group. Okay, great. You know, and I had to step away from that one because it just brought up like all this rage, and you know, I get it, and then at the same time, you know, fuck. What do you
know, kind of in that same vein, we just had this massive explosive story. Everybody's trying to figure it out. The FBI raided the National Solar Observatory in New Mexico, right? So now all the ufologists, they're all like, oh man, you know, something was hidden. There was something going on. We're going to see something from space. It's going to open doors to disclosure and, you know, all these kind of things riding on this potential of the FBI riding in. And then the official story comes out, and it's child pornography that shut down this thing. And I mean, how do you handle that? You're like, wait a minute, now you got me. What? Child pornography? I wanted UFOs. I wanted this exciting reality.
Exactly. I did too. My hand is raised. I wanted to be good. Yeah. Pretty like, wow. Wow. Who knew?
But we're seeing this all over now. It's been coming up all over Trump even going after the pedophiles, and, you know, everybody's thinking about sex trafficking. I mean, there's just no way it's in the common knowledge right now, and everybody's just don't know.
I am grateful for that because you know, it's something that I have like been interfacing with for decades, and frankly, I'm sick of it. So last year in August, especially with all the Pizzagate stuff, I had one of my longtime students, longtime clients, who was doing actually very, very well. She was part of a rape camp during the Bosnian War. And so she's been inching forward, you know, little by little, started to feel empowered, joined Facebook. And I shared a post about something. I don't remember exactly what it was. But it had to do with child pornography, the trafficking, and one of my Facebook people, former, just hits me with this Snopes thing.
Right.
And accusing me of just being a purveyor of fake news and shame on me, and, you know, there's no such thing as pedophilia. On and on and on. And unfortunately, this long-time client student of mine saw this, and she went on a hunger strike and was so upset about this response. And, you know, so this was her like, just kind of in-your-face taste of the ignorance and the cruelty of these people that have their heads so far up their butts and do not in a million years want to face the fact that we humans can be the worst of the most evil. And the whole thing between good and evil, it's like, no, dude, it's in our hearts. Every one of us, we have the capacity to do that. And you either choose not to do that or you check yourself. And so, anyways, long story short, I just was so, like, I was horrified by that. And I felt a great deal of responsibility, and I was so enraged that I decided, you know what, I can't do this anymore. I really can't do this anymore. You know, I was on a really good clip of positivity, and then boom, that shit happened. And to have to feel like I was like backtracking or taking a slide, and my health suffered. Like I don't have any health issues. I'm not part of the medical system. You know, I have lots and lots of energy. I feel young. I look at it, it's fine. And my back went out. Like my back went out so badly that I couldn't get out of bed. That never happens to me. Like, can't get out of bed and do yoga and work the punching bag. It's like, really? It made me realize that, wow, you know, I'm like really vulnerable. And how long can I do this? And I remember having a conversation with my assistant who just passed away, shockingly enough, at the beginning of May. But she lived in Paris, and we were having this conversation, our 3-time-a-week meetings, and she suggested, you know, do you think maybe it's time to retire? And retire from this work, because it is pro bono work. So, and it was a hard choice, but it was an easy choice because I realized that I have to choose myself. And this is where there's a fork in the road, where it's like, okay, do you got more shit to prove? Is there anything here that you're trying to prove here by continuing on? There's a lot more younger people that have the energy to do this. You're not the only one to let people take over, hand the baton over. And so that was part of the shift for me in like really making the change to choose myself. And not in a selfish way, but in the most self-love kind of vein, because I realized that I couldn't stomach it anymore.
That's really the only way we have out of this mess.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, as soon as people get offended enough, get upset enough, get tired of being upset and offended, then the world starts to move on, and we start to achieve what we actually want, you know, this desired preferred reality. We're getting close to the end of the first hour, and I didn't want to lose this. I wanted to find out how your book ended up titled F Wide Open. I'm so curious about that.
Yeah, well, it was kind of a tongue-in-cheek choice, to be perfectly honest. I didn't know what to call it, but the theme of it, there was a theme that just kept coming up over and over and over again, and it was a theme that was coming up in all my sessions, and all of I led a bunch of groups in the Bay Area over the course of 25 years, and people would say, well, it's your choice. Fucked wide open or fucked over? Which is it? And I thought, well, because it is so personal, and it is so poignant and in your face, you know, waking up to the truth of who and what you are. I mean, it's one thing to wake up to that, and it's another thing to embody it, and it's also another thing to wake up to the truth of who and what you are as infinite loving awareness and consciousness, having this human experience and embodying that. But then you wake up to the fact of where you have incarnated in this fucked up perception managed reality, where we are constantly being bombarded with all this waveform information and decoding it through our 7 senses. And it's like, because that's what I have found to be probably the most intense of the great inner work, is unraveling and learning how to navigate this perception managed reality where, okay, is this real, or are we being programmed to feel this way, to think this way? And it's like this minefield, and mind with a G field, to be able to ascertain and discern and figure out what is real, what is significant, what is fodder, what is reality, and to be able to extricate yourself from all of that programming and mind control, to be able to tap into your true authentic self and navigate this perception managed reality in your own way that's authentic and aligned with your divinity, and not aligned to this perception managed reality. And I can't quite say that very well, but it's very it's tricky, So here we are in this convoluted place, and when you wake up and you do enough work, you realize, oh, fuck me, wow, that is like it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of maintenance, because there's so many things that are distorted and coming at us in every which way, that you really, really have to be on the ball and really awake, to the point where, you can, like we were talking about, being triggered, and also being able to, like, maintain your, cellular integrity, your emotional integrity, and not go off the rails. Because that is what the powers that want you to do. They want you off the rails. They want you feeling insane. So the title of the book, I mean, it's rude, When I started hearing about spiritual awakening, I mean, I was, honestly, I thought I would be greeted with angels, or at least, really cute marching band or something, or some, really, really hot metal band or something. I really thought that. But no, it wasn't like that at all. It was like, oh man, this is it. Okay, no angels blaring any horns. Welcome, my child. It wasn't like that at all. It was actually more heartbreaking, and then it was more just sort of this mundane thing of seeing myself, seeing my life, really tuning into who I am for real in my heart of hearts, and choosing to incarnate anyway,
Right. I mean,
choosing to be here.
Yeah. When you accept that you chose to be here, that's one of the big steps for you, big time.
Yeah.
The people that listen to our show, the audience out there, and the people that socialize with us, we're all seeking that bigger life. We're all waiting for that massive UFO, something that's just beyond the normal. And so each day as we go through and we have our sights set so high, and then we're dealing with the mundane, we end up missing what's actually missing from our lives. And that is the true purpose of our existence and why we accepted to come here at this time. And you can transform your life with your emotional body and your mind, and then there is no more mundane, because your entire life becomes this open spiritual experience that you all of a sudden know you're not alone in the universe anymore. This guiding force is here, this life beyond life, it explodes before you, and you can't deny synchronicity, if you want to use as an example.
Oh, I love that. Right time, right place. Always.
Can't dismiss it. You can't. And then you're like, but then of course everybody settles back in, and you get it back into your routine, and life starts to be mundane again, and you really have to be one to push yourself out. That's why often for me, being on the road, I was forced to go meet people, because that's how I ate.
Yeah.
I had to make a friend if I wanted to be invited for dinner. So, it got me out there. It got me to go do it. So, I all cheers to unemployability.
Yay!
Trying to get back integrated into reality as people know it in the real world. I couldn't imagine it. And I think I would live in a ditch before I ever did. But the universe isn't going to let that happen to me. And every day has been a miraculous incarnation of just, oh my God, I can't believe this is really happening to me all the time. And then it's not being something special, right? I know you know this. It's not being anything outside of anything except being able to challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Put yourself in the situations that take you outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, very much so. Being yourself out of your comfort zone.
I mean, can you go to the cashier at the Can you go to the cashier at the grocery store and tell her, honestly, I'm having a really crappy day today. I feel like just shooting everybody. We've got this occupation separation where everywhere we go, we have to pretend to be something else. How are you doing, sir? Well, I'm pretty shitty right now. I kind of hate everybody, and, why you ask?
I've actually said that. I've actually said that to people, and they don't even miss a beat because they're not hearing. Right. They're not hearing what's actually being told, what's actually being said to them, because it's that automated kind of droning kind of thing, and we're just gonna go along and get along. It's never been my style to go along to get along.
Well, that's the key. I mean, as we're wrapping up this first hour, I want to re-influence that key, restate it, that this unemployability, this ability to not be able to be part of groups, the just the sovereign being, and not giving up on your integrity, as you say, forces you into your divine purpose. And so more and more people need to be not fitting in.
Yes. Yeah. And to be okay with it. Be okay with not fitting in. Be okay to be alone. Enjoy your own company. Be your own best man and best woman, rather than hanging out with groups or being in a relationship with someone that, you have no respect for. What's the point? Because you want a warm body? It's like, get a cat, get a dog, but don't torture yourself and don't torture the other person in these codependent, dysfunctional, normalized relationships, where at best you're in a relationship with someone where you have a snarling truce. And you don't even talk to each other. It's like, yeah, no, I will take my isolation and my hermitage over that kind of thing, which is essentially what I've done. But I don't, I'm fine with it.
I understand. Yeah, certainly. I jumped in a cave here not too long ago, and I had no problem with it. I thought I'd be bored. I was not ever bored. And like you were saying, everything I do has always been art. And I do the same thing for my releases. If I don't feel like drawing, I might do a puzzle. But, if I can I'll make music. I'll, do whatever artistry that and all of this that I've expressed out to the world, everything that I've done has never been a complaint. It's always been art. It's like, oh, look how crazy the world is, and let me just share this madness with you.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to create. We're here to move that unseen creative potential of formless and move it into form, into physicality. And that's what really lights up my clients and my students is, when I describe it that way, they can relate to that, because it's like this empty canvas, this empty space that is called their life, where they can start all over again. And that's the beauty of it. You can start all over again whenever you want.
Exactly. Well, that is a great place for us to wrap up this first hour, because, folks, that's something I've been trying to say all along, is you can rewrite the script at any moment, and don't be afraid, because life will open to you. You have to survive. My motto was, I ain't dead yet, and it was a joke, because everything couldn't have been better. And it's releasing that fear of losing the control system and moving into your own divine self that will allow you to find your true purpose, and this will keep you fed. So it all works out. It comes around. Absolutely. I want to mention to the audience that, speaking of art, I will have the new glow-in-the-dark cat T-shirts coming next week. So I'll have the buy for buttons up there for you in the sales, FreemanTV.com shop. You'll be able to get glow-in-the-dark cats. That shirt sold out in a day, Marja. It was crazy.
Awesome. I saw it on Instagram. I'm going, I want one of those.
Yeah, well, I'll have more here soon. But it's that kind of thing that glow-in-the-dark cats. You wouldn't believe the conversations that opens. And you can open with something. I mean, you might want to talk about the National Solar Observatory and how weird things are, but then you're going to end up in child porn. So,
yeah. I know. Well, and we're close to Mexico here, so there you go.
Right.
Which is number 2 in child pornography, but no one wants to talk about that.
No, and let's not mention Disney Co. or anything like that.
Of course.
What do you have coming up? Are you settling away, or how do people get your books? All that kind of good stuff.
So right now, me and my techie god we are migrating the website to another server. So that's what we're doing. The ebook, the Kindle version, is on Amazon.com. And the first edition is there too. So this is the second edition that I'm really, really pushing. The first edition was quite the shit show to get going. You talk about running into censorship, people pulling out their support, people wanting you to change the title, people wanting you to take this out, people wanting this, that, and then the other thing. It's like, you know what? Where do I get my happy ending? Because this is not working for me. So the first edition is still up, and I'm not quite sure what to do with it. But so in the space of transition with it, but I'm really, really happy with the second edition. You talk about being able to hit reset. Excellent reset, because the first edition was actually filled with a lot of the sort of new age bullshit trolls and sort of fakery and usury of California. So all those folks, they all got pulled out, which is completely amazing. So it's like this fresh new energy that is much more in alignment, and I was able to get an actual publisher. So that is like really, 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 really cool. So all of the marketing that I did in 2016 and 2017, after my move from the Bay Area out of state, all really paid off, and along with that, being in the fetal position and just hitting that reset, which you have to do when you undergo a major change. In fact, I think when we last saw each other at Free Your Mind, that was in 2016. That was actually my first outing since I'd moved to the Southwest. So that was actually a really, really good outing and such a great event. I really, really enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, we're trying really hard to get another one next year. I say we, I'm just kind of in the background. I'm not really board of directors or anything, but hopefully there will be another Free Your Mind in April. They're talking Florida destination getaway where we can all go to the beach and hang out. So who knows?
That would be fun.
Really nice, yeah. Free Your Mind is a good time for sure. I hope it continues on. Oh, man, without doubts, the election of Donald J. Trump, the conspiracy theories that we hold to our hearts, and all of that have really destroyed relationships all over the planet, but most especially around here in America.
Sure.
We have to get control of our emotions. We have to find our true soul's purpose and move away from the oppositional, adversarial mindset that we've been programmed right into and go to this new humanity of a heart-based community that is there in each and every one of us. We all feel it missing, but we don't know what it is. And we're going to get into that more on the other side with Marja West. So thank you all so much for tuning in every week here and sharing the Free Zone with all your friends. Let them know this is the place to come to get the real deal. And follow me on Twitter at FreemanTV, because that's where you'll get all the news and all the good stuff that I want to share with you. It's my last bastion of social networking since I've been banned from everywhere else. There is a presence on Facebook. Anyway, get over to FreemanTV.com. Check out the 13 years of stuff that we've got there. And, get your glow-in-the-dark cat t-shirt. I'll have that button up here by the end of the weekend so that there for you. I'll have all sizes just so that we can get everybody happy. And, oh, my God, I already got people pre-ordering. And also get over to MarjaWest.com once they got everything migrated over there, or get over to Amazon and check out Effed Wide Open, the rude awakening of the heart-based new humanity. No punches held here, folks. So thank you so much, and we will see you all next week.
All right. That was part 1. Part 2 coming up.